So hello guys, welcome back to Logic Mode, and today we see the lead code problem of the day, length of the longest subarray with at most k frequency. Now let's we see what is the problem. The problem is you are given an integer array nums and an integer k. The frequency of an element x is the number of times it occurs in an array. An array is called good if the frequency of each element is in this array is less than or equal to k. Return the length of the longest good subarray of nums. A subarray is continuous non-empty sequence of elements within an array. Okay, if I explain, so the question give a nums array and they give an integer k, and the nums array contains some elements and the elements may be a duplicate elements. Suppose the 1 2 3 1 2 3 and 2 comma 1, and k is initially 2. Okay, so first I explain what is a frequency. What is frequency? Frequency is nothing. Suppose we have an element x. X is number of times occurs in an array. Means suppose the one frequency is 3. If we see the 1 comes 3 times in nums. Okay. And suppose the 2 frequency is 2. 2 frequency is 3. If we check, 2 comes 3 times in nums array. Okay. If we see the frequency of 3, the frequency of 3 is 2. And if we check, the frequency of 2 means 3 comes 2 times in nums array. Okay, okay, clear. And I explain what is a subarray. What is subarray? Subarray is nothing. Subarray is a contiguous non-empty sequence of an element in array. What is mean? Suppose I have an array 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So the subarray is what? Subarray is a contiguous element, non-empty sequence. Contiguous element means this is contiguous element. So 1 2 and 3 is one subarray. This is also be a contiguous element. So 1 is also be a subarray. 4 is also be a subarray. Okay, 4 5 6 it is also be a subarray, because this is all a contiguous non-empty sequence. But if we take 2 5 6, it is not a valid subarray. Why? Because they not follow the subarray property. Subarray say take non-empty contiguous sequence, but between 2 and 5 more elements are present and we directly take 2 5 and 6. This is not valid. This is not a contiguous element. Okay, so this is not a valid subarray. Valid subarray is what? 3 comma 4, this is a contiguous element. 5 comma 6, this is also be a contiguous element. Okay, understand? So what is a subarray? Now let's we see what is a good subarray. Okay, because the question say, what did the question say? An array is good if the frequency of each element in this subarray is less than equal to k. What is mean? Matlab, if what is good subarray? Suppose I have an array 1 comma 2 comma 3, 1 comma 2 comma 3 and 2 comma 1. Okay, and k is initially 2. Suppose if I take this subarray, okay, this is subarray and the subarray is good. Which condition? If all element frequency in subarray is at most k, या फिर यूं बोल सकते हैं it must be less than equal to k. They follow the condition. If any subarray they follow this condition, we say the present subarray is a good subarray. So we say this subarray is a good subarray. Why? If we count the frequency of all element, the 1 is comes 2 times, 2 is also become 2 times, 3 is also comes 2 times, and if we see the frequency of all element is must be less than equal to k, they follow the condition. So we say the present subarray is a good subarray. Okay, clear? What is a good subarray? Any subarray is follow the condition. What is the condition? Means any subarray all elements frequency is must be less than equal to k, we say the present subarray is a good subarray. Now what is goal? What is my target in question? What we need to find in our question? We need to find a longest length of good subarray. We need to find a longest length of good subarray. Okay, so how to find? So first we discuss brute force approach. What is the brute force approach? Simply what I do, I check all subarrays. I check all subarrays and check they follow the condition or not. They follow the condition or not. If they follow the condition, what I do? I update my answer variable and I take always max answer or length. Okay. And after checking all subarrays, at the end I return answer. Okay. But the brute force solution take of n square time complexity. Why? We take two nested loops. How? For int I is initially 0, I less than n and I plus plus, and for j is initially starting from I, j is must be less than n and j plus plus. Every time what I do, I take one map data structure that track all the elements. So what we do, mp of nums of j is increment by 1 and I check if mp of nums of j element is must be less than equal to k. Yes, if they follow the condition. So in case what we do nothing. I update my answer variable. So answer is equal to max of answer j minus I plus 1. They give the length of the subarray. Okay. And at the end what I do nothing. Return answer. And if we see the time complexity, we use on her two nested loops. Okay. So they take off n square time complexity. But if we see the constraint, the n is must be less than equal to 10 to the power of 5. Now, if we use on of n square solution, so 10 to the power 10, they give TLE because this is very tight constraint. So how to optimize this solution? Now we discuss optimal approach. We use on her sliding window. We use on her sliding window. How to use? I take one example and I explain. Okay. So how to use sliding window? I take one example 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 2 comma 1. K is initially 2, means the frequency of all element in subarrays must be less than equal to k. Okay, and what I do, I take one map data structure that track all the frequency of element. Okay, so initially my I is initially 0 and j is on her. What I do, j increment. So the frequency of 1 is what? 1, and I check the frequency must be less than equal to k. Yes, they follow the condition. Next what I do, j plus plus, and I check they follow the condition. Yes, they follow the condition. So 2 incremented by 1, yes, and j plus plus 3 frequencies incremented by 1, and I check the frequency of element is must be less than equal to k. Yes, j is incremented by 1, and I check the frequency of 1 is must be less than equal to k. Yes, they follow the condition. J plus plus and the frequency of 2 is 2, they also follow the condition. J plus plus and the frequency of 3 is for 2, they also follow the condition. Okay, now j plus plus and the frequency of 2 is 3. Now we check the element of in subarray is follow the condition. No, because the frequency of 2 is what? 3, and this is not a less than equal to k. So what we do, if at any time, if at any time my subarray fail the condition, so we move I pointer. Means what we do, at any condition my subarray fail the condition, what we do in condition, we shrink the window. Okay, so initially my I is 0 pointer, so what I do, we decrement frequency by 1 because this is my current window. Okay, this is my current window. And one more thing, and what we do, we also update the length of the subarray. So we take always maximum length 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, यहाँ तक to 6. So we take 6. So then what we do? So then what we do? the frequency of 1 is decremented by 1. Okay, then I plus plus, and I check all the frequencies must be less than follow the condition. No, so I again move forward, so the frequency of 2 is what, 2. So I plus plus, and I check the frequency of element, they follow the condition, yes. So the current window is what, the current window is this, and what I do, I take maximum length. Okay, so the length of the current window size is what, 1 2 3 4 and 5. 1 2 3 4 and 5, yes, but we I have already a maximum length. Okay, so we not update the answer variable, and what I do nothing, I increment j plus plus, and the frequency of 1 is what, 2. The frequency of all element is must be follow the condition. So what I do, now I check the length of the window, 1 2 3 4 5 6 6. So what I do, I update my answer variable. Okay, and after, what I do, j is after bound, and after exit the loop, and what I do, I return answer variable, and in answer variable at the end they store longest good subarray length, good subarray length. So if we discuss our time complexity, so at the end the time complexity of my optimal solution is O of n. Okay, why? We use two pointer, we only traverse one times from 0 to n. Using using two pointers we traverse only one times 0 to n. Okay, and if we check the space complexity, we use extra space order of map. So the map space, the map contains at most of n elements. So the optimal solution time complexity is O of n and the space complexity O of n. Now let's we come on the coding part. So what we do, first we take int n is equal to the nums dot size, and we take one unordered map of int comma int of mp. Int I initially 0, I loop starting from 0, j less than n, and j plus plus, and we also take one answer variable initially 0. So what we do, every time I take jth element increment by 1, I check I is must be less than equal to j, and n nums of mp of nums of current element frequencies must be, it is greater than k. So what we do, we shrink the window. In our condition, what we do, we shrinking the window. Okay, so what we do on her, we move the ith pointer, so num of I minus 1 and I plus plus, and at the end what we do, we update my answer variable j minus I plus 1, at the end we return answer. And if I run, they pass all the sample test cases. If I submit the solution, they also passes all the hidden test cases. Okay, and if I discuss one more time complexity and space complexity, the overall time complexity is also be O of n times, and the space complexity is O of n times. The map, the contents map at most n elements at the end. Okay, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, because it really helps the channel grow. Thanks for watching.